Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. It is Monday, the 24th of February, 2025. This is installment number 1 of the Blue Abroad Show for the year. And Pommy's with me, and everything seems like it's back to normal for real now. Hello, mate.
It's like nothing's changed. Same old.
If only it's literally the same old.
But no, it's good to be back. Episode 1 of what hopefully is like 30.
Wait, it's this is episode 1, season 8. 8's a good number, you know. 8's a lucky number in Chinese culture. It's the number of infinity. So maybe this is it. Infinite euphoria after this year or something like that.
Let's hope so, eh? I mean, it's about time we had like real euphoria as opposed to plastic euphoria. So looking forward to getting stuck in and the season that could be.
Absolutely. And to kick us off, a fresh injury. Mark Pitternet has hurt a calf.
Well, I suppose it depends. Is this bad news or good news? Like, genuinely, I joke that Carlton follow up bad news with good news. So I think there'll be a lot of fans out there who'll see Pitternet being out for round 1 as a good thing. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, Mark Pitternet, I don't think I've seen him run so much. So like that's probably an issue.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's good news. I think it's sad. I'm a big Pitto fan. I think he's an important part of the squad. And touch wood, in the event that Tom was unable to play for whatever reason, Pitto would need to play. And now we don't have that backup. So I do think it's important to keep Tom fresh for the year. I've only just seen the tweet. I think it was Mitch Cleary. It seems like he's going to miss the first bit of the season. I don't know. If anyone else watched the 7 News report, maybe drop a comment and let us know what the actual report was. The club, I'm assuming, will make a post about it soon. But yeah, mate, we're back. We've had an off season. We've come back. We've got new injuries. We've got another season-ending injury. We've got a new player. We've got Zach Borg saying Pitternet is injured, but we still have TDK and Young. Maybe we'll start just a bit of a vibe check on everyone's off season. Like, what did you do? What did you do in your off season? How was your off season? And what did you learn and take away from this off season in your life, Pommy, and everyone at home?
Yeah, I went really deep dive. So those who follow me over on my own channel, we've had a total rebrand. We're totally different style of content, from graphics to quality. Everything has gone crazy. So yeah, I had a proper off season. I had a proper write down 50 things that I don't like, 50 things that I do like, 50 things I wish were better. And I've just tried to execute that. So I'm fitter now. I'm healthier now. And probably one thing I learned in the off season, which was quite tough because now my kids are homeschooled, was me personally in my life, I sometimes stay too quiet from expectation of how everything is normally done. So I kind of keep quiet and don't complain about stuff because everyone else just does it for me or does it their way. So I think January the 1st, big change in our house, that I started to make sure that I put my foot down and controlled what I could control and not let anyone else control the destiny of me and anyone else that I'm in charge of. So yeah, a bit more accountability, I suppose.
Mate, I love that. It was an off season of evolution. Well, they all need to be an off season of evolution. Jack had his first one with a child, spent as much time as he could with him. Great excuse to have a break. Yeah, Joe mentioned this on the fan cams. He felt that he had a real disconnect from footy, and a lot of us did too. I definitely felt that. I know I did. I've never not posted a video on this channel for as long as what I did in January. And it was, to be honest, a little scary. And I was a little paranoid. I'm like, oh, have I gotten lazy, paranoid? You know, you're sort of, you're self-critical. But also it was so important to do it. And if it wasn't for the dick pic, it probably would have been 4 weeks without a video. So yeah, I think I really took away the importance of like having to step away to miss something in order to appreciate, like learn what you appreciate about it.
Yeah, mate, absence makes the heart go stronger, doesn't it? That's what they say. No, yeah, I see what you mean. Sometimes just taking a break. We pre-record our content for December, so we take December off.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. It's always nice just to be away from it and focus on actually having a life. So you can have some good epiphanies when you do that. Do you know what I mean? When you're a little bit alone, time on your side, amazing what you can come out the other end with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I was obviously away training a lot in Thailand for 7 weeks. And, you know, throughout that time, it was, for me, it was great to, I mean, when I speak to people in Melbourne or in Australia, for the most part, it's generally either about the football, the conversation, or about Carlton or whatever. And that's fine because I love it. And it's like given me purpose. But that's not all we are. Like there's more to us. And I think at some point throughout the end of last year, you get lost in, you're a content creator and, you know, you're just in the machine of the news and the cycle and the content and the draft and the trade. And, you know, there's so much more to you and to me than just Carlton. So it was good to be able to meet people, strangers, and they just don't know what footy is. Like there's something about talking about footy to someone in the world who has absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And so, you know, you have to talk about real things like the world and what's really important out there. So yeah, that was a good experience, but teaching people the game of Aussie rules and watching their faces, to me, never gets old.
Yeah, it's an interesting game, isn't it? Like, as someone who's experienced it for the first time as an adult, it's a unique element of the game, isn't it? I think it's very important in today's, like, my best advice for anyone young is, I know it's hard. Social media is everything, but there is something quite beautiful about just disconnecting from that part and having linear relationships and something you can touch and feel and speak to and understand nuance. It's nice just to get away from it because social media is just full of opinion and you can get bogged down and you can also become a meme of yourself. That's something I learned big with my content. I watched like 800 hours, it felt like, of my content, and there was so much I didn't like that I didn't want as part of my aura. So sometimes it's good to step away, have some linear relationships, some truthful conversations, and yeah, you come out of it a better human being in the end.
Yeah. The best thing about social media for the world is that it gave everyone the opportunity to have a voice. I think the worst thing about social media is that it gave everyone in the world the opportunity to have a voice. So that's also a very interesting takeaway I took. And then just trying to take control. I mean, you can say that, oh, you know, it's the algorithm's fault. Oh, you know, we're fed what we're fed in our minds. And I mean, I think it's got to be the other way around. I mean, we are our own algorithm. We control what we see on our phones. And I think that's an important part of what's coming up in this next phase of the world, because, you know, we're in this information age that's turned into this misinformation age. And now we're all getting so sucked into the content that we watch and the attention that we give. So I think it's just really important to make sure it's quality over quantity.
I like to live in selfishness with selfless. I think that's probably the big takeaway, that as I've got older, sometimes life teaches you to be too selfless where you forget who and your identity. So always focus on yourself, and you'll find that the people that love you, your selfishness only makes their life better. When you're too selfless, you find yourself unhappy. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to another season. I'm happy. You see it in my content. I'm back to writing jokes. I write jokes now. Like, I'm doing the things that I've always wanted to do, and I think that's a good example to my children as well. Like, do what you want to do, not what you're expected to do. And can't wait. Can't wait for another year.
Who would have thought the secret for you was just talking about things other than Carlton?
That was one of the epiphanies. People who know me in my social life, I rarely talk about Carlton. I rarely do. I genuinely don't enjoy it either. I don't enjoy it. I find, and that's because everything I did personally was talk about Carlton. I like talking about football. I like thinking about football. I'm not very emotive. I don't like showing my emotion. All these weird things that you probably think you know about me. I became a meme. So yeah, it's nice, man. It's freedom. It's freedom because it makes me love the club more because I'm looking at everything from an outside in, which is, I think, how you get better. I think that's how you develop. You look at everyone else, you compare it to yourself, then you add your glitz and glamour, and you suddenly become better than them.
Yeah. Well, before we kick things off, I do see Lana Owens in the chat, and just on a bit of a sad note, but a very important note as well. Spoke to Lana today, and sadly, her brother Glenn he passed away recently, and so just wanted to share condolences, share love to the family, Lana, and I mean Glenn's a massive Carlton fan. He's 61 years old, lifelong Blue Bagger, brother of Lana. Lana's been really part of the Blue Abroad chat probably from the beginning. So I just want to send some love. He was a massive Kiss fan and a massive Carlton fan. And Lana wanted me to just share a message to the Carlton community based on her experience with her brother. You know, he was experiencing some chest pain, and he sort of took a little while to get it checked. And sadly, you know, things ended for him. So, you know, she wanted to reiterate the message to just, you know, listen to your body, listen to the signs. If there's something that's not right in any part of your body, just get it checked. You know, have your affairs in order, get your wills done, because, you know, the family's doing it a little tough now. And that was the message that she wanted me to share with all of you. And so, yeah, just putting our arms around Lana and the family. And yep, Glenn's going to be hopefully watching a premiership run from up above. So yeah, sending a lot of love to you, Lana, and the family.
Mate, it was a horrible time. Lana contacted me when it happened as well. We also lost Hank Lundenberg, so some of the Facebook chat may recognise that name as well. That happened like within 48 hours. So the Carlton community is rallying around both families, and huge loss. And hopefully we can have a good time this year and give you something to cheer up about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be doing our best to just do what we usually do. You know, provide a platform for us to just get amongst the club, talk through all the issues and the things, and try and make sense of really the things that don't make a lot of sense. But that's why we love it. It also connects us. There's something spiritual about this footy club. It's got the whole lot, the good, the bad, the ugly. But yeah, so sending love out there, and let's get on with the show and make this a great one, and make this a great year for everyone. So, okay. Can we not spend too much time on Saturday? I mean, we obviously have to talk about Saturday because it was a match simulation, but I don't know. Like, can we maybe summarize, those of you watching at home, summarize in one sentence, now that you've had some time to sleep on it for a couple of nights, summarize your thoughts about the practice or the match simulation on Saturday. And Pommy, yeah, I mean, I guess this is your fan cam. What were you looking for going into Saturday, and what did you see?
Ominous sign 24 hours into the season, and Terry just wants to handball out of the game. It's ominous. It was interesting. I spoke with good friend of the channel, Riley, just before the game because he got up at like sparrow's fart in the United Kingdom to watch that. So just think about him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he was on the other side of the world. He could do anything, and he watched that game. But fair play to him. But I was chatting to him, and I was saying, like, honestly, the intensity of the game was always going to be rubbish. So I was looking for linear things. I was looking for, do they hit targets? Because if you're not trying, you should still be able to hit uncontested kicks. I was looking if anything changed from ball exit and ball entry because Voss was big on that. And I was looking to see what the hell power and speed meant because that could mean a multitude of things. And the first 5 minutes, I saw everything that I wanted to see. You saw Carlton have that extra kick out of D50, which changed and opened up the angle. That beautiful goal where they went wide from going through the corridor and it looked good. But then, as the game went on, although it's a practice game, I want to specify that it's a practice game. The definition of practice is an application of many new skills and old skills that condense into perfection. If that's the case, the kicks were horrible. And it sent me down a journey of ball use of Carlton. And I think the great case in point was the Doc goal at the end where Doc managed to kick it in for Motlop's third. You see it, Ollie Hollands balls is up the kick and Doc's got to jump into traffic. He takes a miraculous one-handed grab. He turns round. Then he goes down the wing. That kick's too short. Akers has got to body 3 players, handball it on. And it's them little things, near enough is good enough. So that was my big concern, that Carlton can't hit 15-metre kicks. And that's been something we've said for 8-9 years. And old habits die hard. And that, I understand it's a practice game, but the one thing I came out of that is without pressure and intensity, which I can forgive, it's a practice game, we're not very good because that is exposed. And the ease in which St Kilda showed how Carlton lose games, making us chase shadows, in the second quarter, that game was over very quickly. So GWS, I'm expecting to see good ball use because it's unforgivable. Like, no offence to Ollie Hollands, no offence to Sam Docherty, repeat culprits all game. Uncontested, 15 metres, you shouldn't have to move when you kick that ball to the ball receiver. And time again, it relies way too much on expert talent versus just calm controlledness. And just go back and watch Nasir Wangani Mawera. When they kick to him, he doesn't have to change his run. He doesn't have to move. We always have to. And that does concern me because pressure and intensity wins you 10, 15 games, doesn't win you a flag.
Mm. Yeah. That sentence there about, if the intensity and the pressure is not there and we're forced to rely on our ball movement, like it's not even a secret anymore. I think that's just been us for quite some time. When our pressure is at that elite level, we can match it with anyone. Do you think you can win a flag without the elite ball movement?
Well, when we talk about elite ball movement, it's interesting because I would say Carlton aren't as bad skill-wise as you think. When you actually break it down to all the efficiencies, they're mid-table. The issue is our inefficiencies, when you look at uncontested possessions, is really poor then. And that's under no pressure. So Carlton kind of mirror it. Under pressure, they get away with it because the uncontested efficiency is totally different. But when you are uncontested out in space, it's unforgivable. And I went back and watched the Geelong game. And after this game, if you want a bit of fun, go over to Pommy and Oz and watch Paper Talk. It's 10 minutes. It's funny. And then put Geelong on, right? And watch Geelong game. And go back. And although it's good, be really harsh. Imagine you were judging the skills. And nearly 5 of the goals are miracle marks from Harry Mackay and Charlie Kerner. The other goals, Cripps being kicked into trouble and it's 4-on-1 and Cripps is a freak. And you look at how hard they work for them goals and then look at Geelong. The Geelong didn't play well, but They kicked 5 goals without being touched. Without being touched. Carlton still required a lot of contested ball. And it wasn't because they tried to do that. It was because the skills weren't good enough, so the players did. And Ollie Hollands will cop a lot of hate from this practice game, and rightly so. He was poor. He was really poor. But 3 of the goals people are blaming for, add Nick Newman to him. That kick is exactly the same as Nick Newman experiences. The difference is Ollie's built like your first girlfriend in year 7. Nick Newman's a man. So when he has to run into trouble, Nick Newman holds his body and he can bounce off people. Ollie Hollands just gets rammed. And then you've got to ask yourself, why is Voss putting him in that situation? Why isn't the kick better? And I won't tell the name of the player, but I spoke to the St Kilda draftee last week, and he was telling me that Ross, if you're not perfect, sends you for a lap. And it's little things like that.
As in if you like miss one kick or miss a number of kicks, or
yeah, if it's a simple exit when they play static drills, if you kick to me at halfback and I've had to run 5 meters to collect it, it's not good enough. And I'll use an analogy. I don't like doing it. I've promised myself this year I won't do it. But a great golf analogy is go with your mate to the chipping green and he'll be like this. Oh, it's all right. I chipped it on the green, but it's 10 foot away. Good players train to sticks, so their brains have no excuse. It's either it's near the stick or it's not. But it's how you change it. So that's how Carlton, I think, is the problem. Harry and Charlie make shit kicks look good. If that was Levi Casbolt and Sam Day, half of them are marked. And then you start to see the problem. The problem is our talented players do freakish things. Cripps can mark and beat anyone. Charlie and Harry can beat 3-on-1s. Go back and watch Brisbane's practice game. Ty Gallup kicked 3 goals and was only 1-on-1 because the kicks were to his advantage. And it's the same with Carlton. And it's near enough is good enough for Carlton. And we're looking for perfection now. So Jagger Smith, big loss. Spiritually, he's not a loss structurally because this is the list to win it. These players are more than capable of hitting a 15-meter ball. And it's that application. And application has to be good. And if Carlton do that against GWS in season, Hawthorn in season, they'll do a number on you. And that's how we lose games. It's just not quite being perfect and relying too much on too few people to do spectacular things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative for the sake of being negative, but I mean, now that we know that Jagger has done the ACL, it was the worst possible day. I saw a number of moments which really could have been a lot worse. Wiedering got a little corky, which again could have been worse. Saad, I think before we knew that Jagger and the extent of Jagger's injury, Saad went down with what was a corky, but I think for the first 10, 15 minutes, if you weren't the coaches who had the binoculars on him and you could tell that it was a corky, I think a lot of us who were at the ground, I know those who were around me, there was just that moment of, do you remember the Jared Pickett injury at training match simulation many years ago, that it almost became that moment. Thankfully, it was a cork and he came back on and that was fantastic. Nick Haynes had one of the most severe cases of cramp I reckon I've seen. And the way that he got up and grabbed his hamstring just to test it out was a little scary. Corey Durden plays maybe 180 seconds of match simulation before hurting himself. I think results of what's going on with him will come up soon. And then obviously Jagger. So there's that. I remember we played Geelong last year, and I think it was Cam Guthrie did his Achilles maybe early in the game. And I remember at the time thinking, wow, that would be just the worst case scenario for a match simulation to lose a player for a whole season, and you're only just trying to get kilometers in there and in their legs. So awful way to come out of the game. Obviously, there were some positive signs. There were some passages of play, I think, which would have got us excited. I did like some of the things that I saw at stoppage at times. But again, it's a game of 4 quarters, and there's always going to be a few little moments that are in there. Individuals, Jesse Motlop's deservedly getting a nice rap for what he was able to do and the way that his body presented. But yeah, we're definitely past that point of individual positives, aren't we?
Yeah. Debbie makes the best comment here that I've ever seen. And it really annoys me because, like, in practice, from a coaching perspective, from working in sport my entire life, I'm critical in practice. I'm less critical when you play. Do you know what I mean? So I'm more critical of you when you're practicing as opposed to when you're actually in the tournament. Because the practice I can fix. I can't fix you when you're out there. I'm going to be more harsh on you when you're training. So this is where you are harsh and you're looking for 100%. You're 100%. Look at the little things Carlton did that are repeat entries that are stupid. So when Sam Doherty goes inside 50, there's Lucas Camporelli. He's in acres of space. He chooses Harry at the goal square. The ball gets rebounded out. Then Chera did it. Chera's steaming in. It's a switch kick. It's literally a 20-meter kick. He's in 40 meters of space. Inside 50, that's like being 80 meters of space. He again goes to a contest with Hudson and Harry Lemmy. It gets rebounded out, and St Kilda kick from that goal. They kick from that mistake. They're the errors there from the Blues where it's a lack of common sense. It's a lack of taking your time. It's a lack of making sure. And at this stage, 6th oldest list, I don't mean to be horrible, but it's unforgivable because these are the mistakes they made in 2017, in 2018, in 2020. And the only thing that really has changed is Cripps has got bigger. Charlie's got fitter. Harry's got bigger. And they just do remarkable things. But the intricate, the B-grade players, they can't take that mark. Hudson O'Keefe and Harry Lemmy ain't beating 4 defenders. Harry might have done when Chera did that. But they can't because they're just average footballers. And that's what kills me. That is what kills me because them things I didn't see from Richmond who were children, right? I didn't see them from children. They're inexperienced. And honestly, I've watched every game. The worst in things that I can't forgive, which are the basics, was from the Blues. The intensity and the pressure, I can forgive. It's a practice game. But you don't practice to be shit, do you? Like when you when you learn to drive a car, you didn't try and crash it, did you, with your dad or your mum? Because that was practice. You didn't go, oh, it's all right, mum, I'll put the radio on, put my feet up like this. You did the right things and you over-exaggerated the right things, didn't you? You waited too long at the traffic lights. You checked all your mirrors before you reversed. That's what you're meant to do. And you know what I feel like? I feel like it's a reflection. Near enough is good enough. We get excited when we beat Geelong, but then we tell them well done for losing to Brisbane because at least they got there. Well done, you made the 8 from second. And the standard is little sugar hits. When it should be, well done, you made top 8. Now win the flag. Then I'll say, well done. You did your minimum expectation. Sometimes I feel like we're too focused on the process, not the actual end of the journey. And the end of the journey is ironing these problems out. Chera kicks to Lucas Camporelli. Doc hits Lucas Camporelli. From the back line, we hit Ollie Hollands, so he's running away from trouble, not kicking him into trouble. And you get that right long enough and it's there in the game. What's annoying, it's there in the game. But like it does annoy me when people analyze practice games. Don't read into it. We're not good enough to pretend to be shit and surprise teams in round 1. Because Brisbane went out and dominated their 2 games. They played with intensity, they played with flair, and then they shelved it. They've earned the right. We're the 8th best side in the country. We should be showing the opposition we can hit targets. And unfortunately, we can't. And that needs to improve. And I don't think it's harsh. And I'd happily say this to the players. It's not good enough. It's not the standard. And sharpen up.
Yep. So that was Saturday. It was It was 37-degree day, 35, 36, 37 at certain times. Hot and windy early, shitty conditions. It would have been tough. Someone said to me, I was talking to someone after the game, like, it was so windy about the way it all played. In my head, I remembered the clip, the "It's been raining" clip. I was like, it's been raining. It's been windy for both teams.
Yeah, one of my mates sent me the worst message, and I absolutely peppered him. He goes, "Oh, you've got to understand, Pom, 11 degrees. 11 in the morning, windy, 39 degrees." And I was like, two things. One, are we a team of fucking Poms? Because I'll accept heat if you're English. I won't accept it if you were born here. And number two, did they not play in the same time? Did St Kilda have play at a different time to us? Because it wasn't the same. Like you said, the intensity, yes. Application, though, should never change. Like, you give me a golf club and a golf ball now, I'll hit it 250 meters with a draw without trying, because basics don't leave me. Application, intensity will change, but bare skills, bro. Don't care if it's windy, raining, snowing, hot. You're paid to do it. And you know what annoys me is they can do it, Terry. They can do it. In game, sometimes they do it. So that means they can do it all the time. I think it's just having that standard, having that respect for the basics. And that's what I think it is. And I think they get away with it too much.
Fair. So moving along from Saturday, saw a lot of things over the internet over the weekend. And I wanted to move into a little segment here where we talk about footy narratives or preseason narratives, because there's a few things that I've seen over the last couple of days, which I think are topics that are interesting to discuss, whether it's, state of origin, should it return, should it not? The captains were asked today about it. But I've seen rhetoric and a narrative maybe start to be formed that the players are training too hard. And I don't understand how you can get there. And I don't understand how we've gone from, we used to play 3-4 preseason matches before the season started. And there were injuries that had happened, and there was a whole discussion around shortening the preseason and only playing a couple before you play in round one. Right now, we play one match simulation, followed by with 30 players in a team, followed by a practice match this week. And then that's it. It's round one. That's our first game of the season. Also, when you're trying to get better at something, which we clearly have to as a team and as a club, does anyone realize you have to push the limits? Like you have to push the limits of the body and the mind in order to improve. We can't get better as a team and win 17, 18 games, make top four, make a deep run, be fit enough to be hard enough for long enough to make a granny and win a granny if we're not pushing the players. So how did that narrative come about over the weekend? Because I watched Cripps today speak about it. Let me share the video, because this is what the actual expert on the topic, given he actually has to do all this work, this is what he had to say.
You start building yourself back, just absorb the news. Then there'll come a time where you'll get the surgery, and then you move on, and you start building yourself back up. So there's been a lot of guys at the club had a similar injury. It's always go through it, pretty spec up.
It's not just to give this year, considering just the spate of injuries we've seen.
I think this narrative's sort of getting a bit out of control, to be honest. I think the injuries are just part of every year. Like, if you look at all the data, I think it's pretty constant. It's just once everything gets a bit of a run, everyone thinks every injury's, because of the short pre-season. The ACLs or ligaments or, bone injuries, you can't really control those ones, more the soft tissue ones that you got to look at. But I don't think I think it's got nothing to do with the pre-season, to be honest.
So the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because you watch the cycle of a narrative created. It starts with online discourse, then mainstream. There'll be articles about it over the next 48 hours for sure. It gravitates, and then it just increases and increases. What do you mean they're training too hard? Of course they are. They're trying to push themselves to be better. We have to. We finished 8th. We have to push them. They have to be pushed, and you're going to get injuries. It sucks, but it's true.
One of my favorite things you ever hear is it's like, oh, in the 80s, we won this, we finished last, or we used to have these cups. The big change from pre-season to then is pre-season then used to come with a financial benefit. So now with the $4.5 billion TV ad revenue, what happens is there's an equality in AFL. So we don't have these pre-season cups. The reason being pre-season cups, if you ask anyone who won the Wizard Cup when we finished with the wooden spoon, they'll openly tell you that they were demanded to win it because Carlton needed it to meet a financial threshold. That's why they won it, because other teams were taking it easy. Nowadays, there's no financial incentive. And then to come on to modern day, injuries happen. But I'll ask you this. If you are 50 kgs overweight and you just sit on the treadmill and take a picture of it, are you losing weight? Or is the guy that's trying to get his BPM and his heart rate over 150 and he's pushing himself, and one week he gets 10 minutes, the next week he gets 20 minutes, he's going to lose weight. You've got to push yourself to get a better time. And I've started running. When I first called Terry, I was doing 1 kilometer and it took me 15 minutes, right? I'm now up to 5Ks and I'm running that, and I'm constantly running. And that's like 2 months. And I enjoy it now. I used to hate it. I enjoy it. But every time it was after that 1 kilometer, it was like, I'm going to get 1.1 Ks. I'm going to get 1.2 Ks. I had to push myself. If I just went, right, 1K, let's try and make that 10 minutes. I would have never got better. I tried to increase the distance. So I had something to strive for. So, yeah, I think injuries are really overstated. I will accept Carlton seem to get a lot of injuries, but I do think that that's from management. I don't think the ACLs, though. I think they're freaks of nature. I agree with Cripper. We want them to train because, like, look, we've had a complaint about Saturday, about the game. I would be really pissed off if Carlton did a video and said, oh, we're just spending the week playing Fortnite. Fuck GWS. Because we're worried we're going to get more injuries. I would be really angry. I want them to go out and risk getting hurt so you don't get hurt. You know what I think the injuries are, though? Do you want to hear conspiracy?
Yeah.
Right, now in the Super League, in Rugby League, I don't know if it happened in the NRL, but we had a massive rule change in 2000 about head contact and the injuries, and it was about touching people when you jumped. And we saw a huge injury as players adapted to bracing for contact and changing the way they're tackled to try and lower their body to hit you in the sternum, no longer going high. And before you knew it, you started to get the injuries because people had started to over-risk it because they knew they weren't going to get head-high tackles. So people weren't protecting themselves. They were just running in. But also the tacklee started to get injured because he would change his momentum to not break the rules. I wonder how many of these rules we've changed in the last 6 years are actually making the players run a little bit a different way, avoid collision a little bit different, tackle different, change and go into unnatural positions, but also be a little bit more brave. Because you know the head helmet, the Super League did research for concussions that it increased concussions because children thought they were immortal. So they weren't naturally protecting their head. They thought, oh, it's all right, I can run like this. So I wonder how many of these injuries also are from the mass amount of rule changes, asking a 25-year-old man to change what he's done for 15 years of playing footy. And I reckon you'll see it equalise 2030 when all the draftees come through with the new updated rules and the new rules around context. I actually think it's all the changes in the last 5 years that have really brought it to light.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like I said a few minutes ago, I mean, how much shorter can we make the number of practice matches? Because there was a clear complaint, even from the players, around the fact that they were playing 3, sometimes 4 matches before the season started. And then every year, you know, we move more into the future. The game gets quicker. The game gets more dynamic. You know, rule changes, as you mentioned. I mean, I just think a match simulation with a squad of 30 plus 1 practice match. Like, that's the sweet spot. Or is it not? Maybe, is this pendulum of narrative going to swing the other way now, where it's going to be suggested that we need 3 practice matches before the season starts? It's almost like it's like a plug and play decision, excuse, complaint. And it's all the same.
There'll be a happy medium, and you've got to understand there's a lot smarter men than me that look at sports science, look at research, they MRI players after training. Bryce makes a great comment as well. It's something that annoys me. Fitness and match fitness, they're 2 different things as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are 2 different things. So you've got to find that happy medium so these players are safe fitness-wise, because fatigue massively increases muscular injuries as well. So they've got to be at that right spot. I think it's a cop-out when people say they're trying too hard. I think Danger's saying it because he's a clown at times. You know, when Danger pushes this, Danger's an old man. He's been doing this for a long time. Of course he wants to be paid the same wage and work a little bit less. Wouldn't we all as well? If our boss said, how about we drop your hours to 20 but still pay you for 45, we'd all say yes as well. So I think it's good where it is. I just think you're going to be looking long term. I think it will be fixed in 5 years as everyone adapts to the new rules. I genuinely think the rules have been changed so much around contest that you are starting to see an offset from that as well.
Yeah, because this is the thing. We seem to get very reactionary, not just us. I mean, like footy industry. There'll be a poor umpiring decision in round 1, or somebody will get hurt in a certain angle, and then they'll be like, okay, you got to change the rule. And then we complain that we change the rules too much and let the game breathe. I think we're in that stage right now. Like, yeah, injuries suck, but let's just let the game breathe for a bit before we constantly just keep trying to make changes on this. And it becomes like a hamster wheel of changes.
Well, it happened today, didn't it? So it happened today. For those bright-eyed, bushy-tailed people, at 9 a.m., AFL House just randomly announced an SSP signing that McAndrew had signed for Adelaide, and they'd forgot to process it Friday. They were like, oh, it was done Friday, promise, before the deadline. And then obviously people started saying, what about Melbourne? What about Carlton? Then an hour later, the AFL said, oh, we'll just extend it. And there's the problem. The AFL, you are right, Terry. Round 1, some player will do something, he'll get injured, we'll have a rule change. That causes injuries as well. Massive changes, like massive. Some of these changes are quite dramatic from the way you play the game. And the fact that it can change overnight, it's not good. Like, I'm a firm believer there should be no rule changes from now until pre-season next year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's I think it should be a year cycle. So these rules are agreed. 2026 is when we change it. For 2027, there shouldn't be just whimsical changes.
Are there any other footy narratives that drive you drive you crazy? I mean, there's probably a lot, but what are some of the? I mean, I think we touched on rule changes. I think we touched on like the good old days, like trying to compare the good old days to now. Are there any other footy narratives out there that just drive you mad? Those of you,
match sim practice games winds me up. You know, when people say it's a training session, because the whole premise of them 3 things, training session, practice game, things like that, they are so you get better. But people go, don't judge them if they get better. And I've seen it from loads of fans. Like, I've seen it on Kangaroo TV, people going, it's just a practice game, don't worry about it. But it's just a training session. But I'm like, but if they're practicing that and training like that, that's a problem, isn't it? Like, when are we allowed to comment on it then? Like, when we lose by 100, or is it like these are the things? And the other narrative is the fact we only get 12 games announced. I think the fact that the final round isn't done till round 20 is ridiculous. And the fact we don't know where we are Thursday, round 16, ridiculous. Like, no other sport does it. Every other sport puts the fixture list out and they hope they get lucky with TV times. Like, how hard is it to have a wild punt that whatever game is on round 24 might be a cracking game? I hate it. It should be literally right now. I have 24 fixtures. Perfect. And if something changes, it changes. But you can't just be like, oh, we'll make a decision round 16. Idiots.
What about footy myths?
Myths.
Are there any myths? Yeah, like the theories, the footy myths that exist out there?
Probably everyone. If you don't have more than 10 plus contested possessions, that affects your ability to be a good player.
Yep.
That really winds me up. Like, the ability to avoid contest is what the great players do. So people focus on, this player's got more contested possessions. And I'm like, yeah, but he's less talented, isn't he? Let's be honest. That's why he's got more contested.
I've got one. Wearing orange socks makes us play worse.
If we're getting theories like that absolutely shit me.
Wearing orange socks makes us play worse.
Yeah.
And it always comes from the ones that say the world is woke, but are the first ones to bring politics into sport.
Yeah, it's like Carlton. You know, when we have injuries, this is because it's a Carlton show. I can be Carlton centric. The injury curse. Because sometimes I feel like it's easier to make a mythical excuse than the truth. Like, Jagger isn't cursed by walking into the football club. He's cursed because probably the apathetic nature of our fitness board for the last 6-7 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, a contact injury just happens anyway, but if there is really an injury curse, like the corkies, things like that, they're contact, but the hammies and stuff like that, it's not a curse. It's just poor management. That's what it is. Like, let's blame what it is. Danger game. Oh, fuck. Shannon, I like you. Why are you making me think about it in February, mate?
Danger game.
You know the other one as well that annoys me? When you're like, you say something reasonable. And you say, you know what? I hope we keep Charlie and Walsh on ice till the Collingwood game, at worst. Like, you think, let's do that. And you go, because Richmond, we should beat Richmond. And then the straight thing you hear, the first thing you hear is this: don't underestimate them. And I'm like, I'm not playing though, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going out round one telling Cripps it's all right, babe, just do what you want. Like, it's not underestimating because you've used the phrase should. Or we're due a loss. Mate, that's another one as well. Tatum's tantrum. Due a loss. 1-4 in a row. Oh, that does me as well. Oh, Jai, you watch the watch-alongs too much. That does me as well.
Yep. Or Manny, I don't mind this one. The commentator's curse. I do like that one.
Manny, I actually reckon that is true, though, because how often I'm the victim of it as well. Because I'll say, no way he misses this, it's too easy, and then he kicks it out on the car park. Like, that, I reckon that's real.
What about milestone games?
Yeah, I'm guilty of this. I'm going to put my hand up.
Yeah, by the way, I'm also guilty of some of these too.
Can I just say I'm not guilty of danger game, due a loss. Never said it, never will
I'm guilty of curse. I love the curse. I love it. I love that. Like, I feel the dark curse.
Terry's guilty of saying danger game because he says it to wind me up. I'm guilty of this as well, and it makes me a moron, right? But whenever you allude that the players didn't try, that winds me up. You know, like when people go like, oh, they didn't put any effort in. Mark Murphy's a legend of this game, and they didn't try. They're trying. This is the new 2025 POM, right? It's not stop making excuses. It's because they're shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like my son David, he tries to play golf. He's rubbish at it. But he's still trying. It's not effort-based. It's skill-based. That kills me when people allude effort-based. It's been rubbish.
Oh, I'm guilty of these next two. Nathan Williamson curse.
Yeah.
And I'm very guilty of this, the bobbleheads. And the reason why I'm guilty of it is because the Charlie bobblehead, the Sard bobblehead, the Murphy bobblehead, the Simpson bobblehead. I think I'm missing a bobblehead. All bad losses. The collars.
Mate. You know what it is? I think as human beings, we do everything we can to escape responsibility.
Yes.
Right? So it's a lot easier to imagine an Indigenous elder did a ceremony at Icon Park, which has then caused hamstrings, right? And you believe that that magic is real, right? Or the harder bit is to go, these guys are incompetent, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's our fault. We just can't manage footballers. We make them play when they're half hurt. We're desperate for 4 points, good vibes. And it's the same, isn't it? Oh, Kerno has a bad game, right? Kerno has a bad game. It's because he wore a respects Guernsey. That made him kick rubbish. It's not. He was just rubbish that day. It's the Guernsey. He put the orange socks on, and then he goes deeper, doesn't it? Oh, he did the media thing, didn't he? They started talking about the women in their lives. It's the woke nonsense. It's taking their eye off the game, and it's like the 30-second clip didn't make him shit. He was just shit.
That reminds me, it's the PR machine. The Crips, or the good news is just them buttering us up because the bad news is coming.
That's certifiable fact, and my DMs prove it.
It's not the fact that things just happen in life, good and bad. It's that it's all orchestrated. Oh, then there's the scripts, and that it's all just a big script.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Scotty actually has given the best myth. This grinds my gears because I do it as well. Like Scotty Tompkins, like, mate, I love you, but you are spot on. When anyone over a certain age calls people soft because they are modern, and I'm going to put my hand up. I watch a lot of soccer with my kids, and I am constantly going, oh, God, when I was a kid, I saw Brian McClare play 10 minutes with a broken ankle. And look at him, he's rolling around. Bloody soft nowadays. This is your fault. Bloody soft. Spot on, mate. And I don't know why I say it, because it's not true, because Brian McClare didn't break his ankle. He chipped a bone in it. He could play. But yeah, mate, spot on. Oh. that is ridiculous.
This segment has been a lot better than what I thought it would. Aiden, I feel so seen here. Oh, I'm sorry. I swear it was. Like, we lost to Melbourne. It was a harsh lesson. We had Collingwood the next week. You win, you beat Collingwood, you make finals. It was written in the stars. Like, it was perfectly set up, but it wasn't, because Charlie played on.
You know what? Tatum's tantrum, like, I see him in both live chats. This is why he's one of my favourites. He is literally in my psyche. That we never match up well when we play like Adelaide. That annoys me as well, because people always look at 2018 and it's like, well, I hope we've gone beyond that. Like, we didn't match up well against the AFLW team at the time. Like, I'd hope we've got better. Yeah, that does my head in.
Oh, God. Wow. It's
the other one, and I don't mean this about Ari, so I'm not coming for Ari. I love his work. But when someone manages to link anything we do today with 95, as if history's going to repeat itself if we just do what we did, that does my head in. That absolutely kills me, Terry. You know, when it's like, I saw Fraser Brown kick a goal from the boundary line like Charlie, and we went on to win the flag. We're back, baby. And I'm like, oh, no.
Ryan, I think you genuinely have the answer. Yep. We overrate and we project not just our players, but our club. I reckon the sooner we all start collectively understanding we're really average, the quicker we can move forward.
Yeah. You know, Trav, that's a good one, because I'm guilty. of using it, but I use it when I take the piss. But when analysis, they just boil it down to one word, the one word, as if they can't do anything else. But they just focus on the one thing the club does well, and then they use it as a negative. That proper winds me up as well.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Turfspiracy. By the way,
Yeah, that's just Faz being a condom. Can't take this serious.
The turf looked perfect on Saturday. Let me just say that.
Dear, Turfspiracy. To be fair, though, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the grass concrete in it? So the grass is on a concrete base, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the modern day way is sand cushioning. Maybe it's not Turfspiracy, maybe it's concrete spiracy.
Oof. Wow.
We have the best spine in the league.
Yeah, we have the best spine in the league. Wearing certain clothes as a sign of luck. Yeah. Well, we're pretty cuckoo now that we've done this exercise.
To be fair, apart from the comedy ones like $27 toasties, $80 scarves, as a content creator that spends a lot of time with other clubs, you aren't in your own Delulu world. Like, they all do this. Like, I hear it from North fans. We never win against this side. Pies fans tell me they never win at this ground. Like, it's a pandemic. Oh, Andrew and Tatum are definitely in my brain. When anything goes wrong, bringing an old player back who was good at something to do it now. Yeah, mate, kills me.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, I guess we've realized. Oh, that was fun. That was actually great.
Is the one that you're really guilty of, that now you feel like you've seen it, you actually hate yourself a little bit internally?
You know, maybe this is the year of just revelation and, self-reflection. Because I've read some of these and I'm like, oh my God, I'm wacky. Like, I'm mad. We're all mad. I mean, I think that we can all agree we're all mad. Not just us. Everyone. The club's mad. The people working in the club are mad. I mean, bloke got his fucking dick out on the photo. I can't believe it. Oh my God.
Can I just say that I managed to milk so much jokes out of that. Like, that was my favourite time. Like, I was struggling for content at the start of January, so I really thank Luke Sayers for giving me so much material. Like, that gave me 4 weeks of work. It was so good.
Dick in a photo.
He's got his dick in a photo. Can I just say, right, when people say, Pom, you're really harsh on Carlton Football Club about standards, just go and look. Just go and look at the state of that dick pic. The leader of the football club sent the most depressing cock picture in the history of... Like, we talk about standards, it starts from the top, people. Like, I didn't even know people sent flaccid dick pics. Like, I didn't even know that happened.
Can't even send a dick pic, right?
Have you ever seen a Willie so depressed? Like, it looks so sad. like, geez, there we are. Oh. Standards.
That was one of the funnest. You know when, like, you put a little segment together for a show, you don't know how it's going to go. You think you might spend 5 minutes on it, and you spent 25. That was great.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? I would pay good money for banter to do like an award at the end of the year, which is like a bobblehead, but we get a bobblehead dick, and we can have it for like the worst moment of the year. Like the worst moment of the year, and we can send that.
Get a bobblehead of the Willie. I mean, I did speak to Rocco on before the match sim on Saturday. I was like, mate, I'm not going to have 3 guesses as to what's the first banana of the week. You might actually need to change the award. Anyway, the moral of the story is we all just need to take a look in the mirror and shut the fuck up sometimes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Now,
That's turned me on.
yeah, that was great. That was very fun. Thanks for playing along. The Bell End Award. Very good. Okay, so we were gonna talk about the SSP options going into the show, but we now know that the decision's already been made. Will White is now on the rookie list of the Carlton Football Club. So, Pommy, what do we know about Will White?
Well, let's play a game. Scotty Tompkins, send my love to your mum, but cover her ears. But we're going to play a game. Will White, all right or shite? So, Terry, give me your Will White picture.
Stand by.
That's dangerous after what we've just been talking about, asking Terry to present a picture. Seems like a euphemism.
Yeah.
But here is William, Mr. William, bearer of the number 77 in VFL. And this is just his VFL stats last year. So 18 games, right? 1.2 goals per game, 3.1 marks, 5.3 score involvements, 0.8 tackles inside 50, 13 touches, 58.3% goal kicking efficiency. So one of the common misconceptions is Will Wright looks like he kicks really well, but he is exactly where he is, where everyone else is. Most players are around 60 plays role. Very interesting player as well. Has played halfback, on the ball and the wing. Settled last year, mid-forward, right? So mid-forward. So that's what we're judging him as. And Terry will show you the algorithm has been totally changed in the off-season. And it spat out the nearest player at Carlton this guy would be battling. And that is Cos Durden. Right? So he played, and to make this fair, we're not going to put Will White's AFL stats versus Corey Durden's because he hasn't played any. We're going to give him the VFL stats because that makes it a fair comparison. We're fighting apples with apples. And Corey Durden played 3 games, 0.7 goals, 3.3 marks, 3.7 score involvements, no tackles inside 50, 9.7 and 65% kicking efficiency. So what the algorithm is saying is, obviously, from a face value, he's better. So when you look at Will White is 27.8% better than Corey Durden in VFL because of his scoring output, his output of bringing players in. And that is one of Carlton's weakest areas. Its spread on score involvements is very poor. That's almost as bad as Carlton's goal kickers. It's 2 people. Same with our scoring opportunities. It's always the same people. So Will White kind of gives that option. And if you watch my video on who we picked the first time, the algorithm said small forwards was more of a pressing need because it doesn't rate Motlop or Durden because there's too much inconsistency. So you can see why Carlton have brought in another player who can go into the midfield and play that higher up role. So I would disagree with the algorithm. A player he could put out of the team would be Arazio. I spend 4 quarters doing fitness. And the algorithm then, good segue, it said, who are you? Who could you be? So it ascertains Will White's value based on his VFL as a 4.2 round pick. And that would say Joe Richards is its closest link. So this is Joseph Richard, now at Port Adelaide, formerly of the Magpies. 7 games last year, more goals than Will White, and more score involvements. He was a freak. But you can see here very similar avenues of his defensive craft, his ability to get free and be a conduit from midfield to forward. And again, very similar kicking efficiency. So Joe Richards would be his model that is in the AFL now. And if he's like Joe Richards, it's a great chance for the Blues and gives us something to do.
Yeah. Good luck to him. I don't really have any expectations on him other than obviously to be ready. But in terms of if he was to play, let's just say he was to play round 1. I guess once you're selected and you cross the line, then obviously there is expectations. What I'm trying to say is I'm not expecting him to play a lot of football, if I'm honest. I think if he does, it's a bonus. But I just think he's just more or less cover for, a spare list spot.
You know what? I'd always say this. When it's small forwards, don't be surprised, because Motlop, I agree with Tatum. I think he's due 30 goals. He has to, right? And then I'll answer Jason Nee, right? When we talk about Owies and you got rid of him, I'll always say this. You're okay. You're entitled to think Owies is good. But the market sets the rate of if you're good. So Carlton openly said he was available for anyone. And the only way he got a new job from 17 football clubs, 6 of which were looking for small forwards, 7 of which took small forwards in the draft or in recruitment, only the second worst side in the league offered him a deal. Where you look, same deal with Kennedy, 48 hours from the window, Carlton said the same as always. He's expected, he can change his environment. A top 8 side came in for him straight away. So that always answers your question. When you judge a player, is he good? Look at the market around him. Does the market tell you he's good? Because if the market would offer you 100k for the house, but you think it's worth 500, either you've overvalued it or you're wrong. So that's always a good thing. So I actually think, to answer your question, Terry, I wouldn't be surprised to see Will White or Francis Evans by round 6. I think you'll see one of them. And Will White obviously offers a different direction to Mr. Evans, but both of them decent talents for 12 months to try and ignite their career.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't got this on the agenda, but it is a question I do want to get a pulse check on from you and I guess everyone. So, who is the player from the Blues this year that you, or maybe there's a couple that you just think he's a sure thing, as in going to have a good season? You're so confident that he's either going to bounce back from whatever happened last year, whether he was one of the players that were injured or unavailable, or someone who's ready to go to a next level. Like, who's you're just sure about him?
So can I pick an old player or an young player?
The one or two that just stick in your brain, like you're just so confident that what you're seeing in your perception is that they're just set for a great year.
Okay, I'll give you 3. Some player that's just going to is obvious. Jesse Motlop. I think Jesse Motlop will be. I think he'll kick 35 goals this year for the Blues. Nick Haynes. I think Nick Haynes plays 20 games for Carlton and locks it down. And I think a man who I don't think he'll be happy he's injured, but I think he'll be happy that he's now got no competition. I think Cooper Lord, by round 24, when the season finishes, I think is now 3rd best midfielder at Carlton Football Club.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
He was one of my highlights. I know we've been horrible about the game this week, but one of my highlights was I loved Cooper Lord's tenacity. I thought he was trying to show me, hey, Pom, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. Like, this is a bit of me. This give me the chance. And when I saw Jagger get injured, my brain straight away said, right, okay, no pressure now. It's you. You're the man. Go and take it, brother.
Yeah. I had Motlop for sure. I think the recency bias kicked in with Motlop. And because I remember at the start of last year, before we had played 2024, I remember the narrative really quickly, really clearly. It was, we shouldn't be playing, give the games to Motlop and Durden and develop them. And that just flipped on its head by the end of the year, because Motlop and Durden didn't play a lot. They were injured. And for whatever reason, that didn't seem to be in the forefront of a lot of people's minds. And then people just forgot that Jesse was coming. Like, he's in his 4th season now. His first season was solid for a first-year player. His second season was very good for a second-year player. Kicked 24 goals. Last year was poor. But yeah, Jesse for sure. Elijah, I was the same. Bridget, I'm with you. I think I am still sure about Elijah, but there's just this weird cloud around him. Why didn't he play from the start on Saturday? Nasty rumors. Like, at some point, something has to be cleared up, or something. Like, I mean, we need to know, because I thought, and I was under the impression that Elijah was ready to go like all Australian. Like that's how high we had him here. And now it's like, why did he come on with 10 minutes to go in the fourth and then play in the VFL? Like, yeah. So something's going on, and I feel like there's something to be cleared up there. So there's that. Bit of Cooper Lord here, bit of Sauce here. Wow, I haven't seen one name, which is my other name, who I'm just sure. And I just think, I still haven't seen his name. Okay, Shane, you're the first person to say his name. Harry Mackay.
Ooh.
I'm going to go like mayonnaise. I have this vision of him kicking 8 against Richmond and kicking 75 goals. And I just see Harry wearing the Coleman medal around his neck. It's so clear to me. And the reason why it is to me is because he's had his challenge with the goal kicking a few years ago. He's sort of come out of that and worked on his game. He does the basics well. He's available a lot. The quote that I read from one of the coaches in the preseason was around Harry's ability to be available for every session. I think the more of that you have, the better chance you have of getting better every year. And I think Harry's just ready for pack marks, shots on goal, 75 goals. I just see Harry having an incredible year.
I don't mind that,
Mm.
No, I don't mind that, Tez. I'll give you that.
Also,
I
also believe, I'm not trying to be negative, but I just have a dirty feeling that Charlie's no good.
Oh, no.
And something's wrong, and he's cooked a little. I just have a feeling about it. No preseason as well. Yes, he's a freak and he'll be able to contribute. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
That's why. There's the catch. There's always a catch when Terry invites me on. There's the catch. He's just said, Charlie's done. No.
Maybe. Yeah.
I will concede. Do I think he wins the Coleman? Caveat, no, I don't. But I do think Harry kicks more goals than Charlie this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll agree with that. I do think he there's something about Harry, just even that practice game, just the way he went about his work for the first 10 minutes just said to me, okay, yeah, there's something about you.
Yeah. If that's
it felt different. It felt like he was locked in.
Yeah. And then he took the foot off, or the ball just came in differently. But yeah, I'm hot on Harry, and yeah. Can Cripps win a third Brownlow?
Oh God, here we are. We're not going to get too excited. We're going to be level-headed, but Carlton are taking out a clean sweep of all the awards. I genuinely, hand on heart, and I don't mean this harshly, I hope he's nowhere near it. Because if he's top 5 of the Brownlow, we're cooked.
Yeah, I agree. I understand.
Carlton's highest vote getter this year, Walsh.
Oof. Yeah?
I reckon you start to see the shift to a Sam Walsh owned midfield. I think this year is the year Mr. Walsh steps up and he's the main ball user in that midfield, and it starts to slowly become his midfield. And that's the evolution where Cripps is doing what he does best, but someone else is taking the responsibility to run with the ball. I think he will be our leading vote getter.
Did you see Cripps holding the cup today?
Yeah, I know this sounds weird, but this might be superstition. This might be nuffy. I just don't like it. I don't like the idea.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of looking at something, touching something that you haven't earned. And it makes me feel a little bit bleh. You know what I mean? It makes me feel like I personally, if I was the captain of Carlton, I'd have a moral dilemma, but I'd probably send someone else. I'd be like, just spiritually, I can't do it. I don't like the look of it. Because, like, no offense, but we used to see these pictures with Murph in 2018. And you're like, we're going to be lucky to win one game, bro.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, put it down. You know what I mean?
Jordan, I love that. Was it just me, or did George look like George is strong? He always has been. did he look stronger to anybody else, or was it just me?
You know what I said? And maybe I'm losing it, Terry, because you are the expert of how someone looks. I'll concede here. But what scared me, I actually thought he looked trimmer and leaner. So, I mean, he might be more ripped. I felt like I'm not saying he was quick, because that would be a lie. But I felt he looked a little bit more loose, looked a little bit more. He always looks roboto, doesn't he? Like, I will tackle you. I am Crip's help. Like, he actually looked like he was a little bit leaner. If you're watching this, I'm really sorry, George. That was horrible.
Oh, that's brilliant. Jay, he looks like he's lost a little size, but looks harder. Yeah, I just thought he looked fucking fantastic. What was that? What else did we have? Oh yeah, we will wait on pick your team. I think I have another idea for it, and also we've gone over the 8 o'clock. Let's talk about Friday. And my question to you, Pom, and my question to those of you watching: what would make you satisfied on Friday against the Giants?
For me, quite simple. Like, I want to see that 10 minutes where we were hitting targets and we were making sure. So I don't care about the score, full caveat. Lose, don't care. I treat the result inconsequentially. I want to see us make sure of that. So I want to see Ollie Hollands this time hit halfback. I want to see Doherty hit the wing. I want to see Harry Mackay be led and he can get the ball. He doesn't have to do it. So that's what I want to see. Aside from that, just get through the game. But you know, when you see people say Carlton's game plan is shit, I disagree. I think the game plan is good. It got to a semi and it won some big games. I think it's the execution that makes said game plan look shit. So I am looking for everything looks good. And I'm happy if they do that for a half and then we shelve and we see our B team come out. But I want to see 2 quarters minimum going at 85%. Them first kicks are always perfect. Mm-hmm. And when they're not, I want to see people angry.
Okay. Seeing a proper game plan, some consistency, AFL standard ball use, no injuries. Look like we're executing an actual game plan. Yeah, what was that?
You know what? I do actually, that's just reminded me, and I didn't bring that up in my review, and I didn't bring it up here. Did anyone notice when Doc kicked into TDK, right? And if you watched, Motlop was running through the corridor. You actually see TDK berate Doc, right? He literally like throws his hand at him, remonstrates with him, and he's pointing at Motlop. I have never seen anyone do that. John, No, I've just never seen Carlton, Harry, or Charlie ever remonstrate with the midfielders and go, "You guys are fucking shit." Like, do you know what I mean? Like, literally, because when you watch it in soccer, you watch Jesse Hogan does it a lot. He literally says to them, "What the hell are you doing? Hit me here." Like, I'm not a miracle worker. I genuinely think a bit of I want to see that more. Like, because I just genuinely think Doc gets away with it for ages, and there's a little bit of, I'm worried about this. And I was watching Port. You know who does it a lot, and people criticise him for it? Jason Horne-Francis. You watch Jason Horne-Francis, there was a passage of play, Zach Butters gets the ball, and he does his little dinky spin, and he handballed a loopy one, and Jason Horne-Francis takes the ball, and he gets crunched. And as soon as he wins the stoppage, he's screaming at Rosie, like saying, "He's taking the piss. Like, you nearly killed me."
I actually think that's one of the most, there's many important factors that Nick Newman brings to the team. That's one of them. He does remonstrate severely with his teammates. And I think in order for this team to go from okay and maybe, I don't know where you rank them. Are we a good team, not a great team? Are we an okay team moving to be a good, whatever? In order to become a great team, the players have to own it on the field. And I'm with you. I'd love to see. I mean, I think I see that evolution in Wiedering, no doubt. He's an angry man out there, and he's screaming at his team. Actually, now that I think of it, it's generally just the defenders, and fair enough. Imagine being a defender at Carlton.
Mate, I agree with you. You know what? I always look at it this way. Like, a good friend of mine, he coaches he's gone back to the Premier League to coach, and he was coaching in non-league football. And I asked him when I was back home a while ago, what's the difference between working with like Premier League players? And he worked with Jordan Henderson for a while, right? And he said to me, the biggest difference is top players don't shut up for 90 minutes. They're constantly saying, I'm open, give it right, give it left, man on. Like, they're constantly commentating the game. And he was like, you go to lower leagues and the players are so worried about making mistakes that they clam up and they don't say anything. So a player puts them under trouble, but they're more concerned about them. They're not willing to say it. And he was saying, Jordan Henderson is literally in game. He doesn't care if it's Van Dijk, if it was Robbie Fowler, club icon. He would go up to them and say, that was rubbish, needs to be better. And he was like, that's the difference between brilliance and average. Brilliant players don't care if you're the captain or if you're the new kid. They tell you off the same, because in game, it's working together to win it. So I'd love to see, like Charlie and Harry, they have to watch football. Like, they must do. Like, Jesse Hogan, they go and watch this. Jesse Hogan's compilation of goals, Charlie Curno's the year before for winning the Coleman. The first goal Charlie kicks is against Brisbane on 8 players. Like, he's gone, he's paddled it, he's run round and kicked it. It took me 2 minutes of the highlight reel of Jesse Hogan to find one where he was more than one player. The first 5 of Charlie are on 2 free defenders. Like, surely they must look and go, like, if I was Charlie tomorrow, I'd come in, go, Cripper, Walsh, Chera, come with me. Watch this video. Do that. Do that. Like, if you do that, I'll kick 200.
Yeah.
Like, do that for me once. Like, and I just think sometimes I think they're just too pally. They've been in the trenches so long that maybe they've never had a senior player bollock them. So it's never passed down. They all look at each other in equals. I hope they look at each other. 23 people need to get their shit together so I win. That would be my message to the players. Fuck your friendships and your togetherness. If you all pull together, though, you'll win. And that makes you happy. So focus on that.
I would love to see footage of Harry Mackay after a ball gets kicked above his head and away from him, like shaking his head at his midfielder. And I'd love to like lip read his lips saying, what the fuck was that? That's what I'd like to see.
Oh, no, mate, I agree. But we go to training, right? Do you know what I mean? You don't even hear it then. Like, last year, I went to the Pies training. Nick Dacos never shuts up. Like, I know how Nick Dacos talks. He's always saying, like, wing, wing, wing. Half forward, man on. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's always talking. He's screaming the ball carrier, shouting, Scott, Pendles, like demanding the ball. And you watch Carlton and it's like, yeah, so I was in Rebs, right? Yeah, and like I've been chatting to this girl and it's like, bro, demand the ball. Scream at each other. Get here. I'll never forget that. Dan McStay screaming at one of the small forwards when I was there, saying, you need to be here. Like, when the ball comes, you're here. And I'm like, that's how you get better. Like, because it's not being horrible. You're going to be a bit angry when you're doing it, but it's trying to help each other. I genuinely think I'd love to be allowed to listen, but I reckon we never talk. Like, I don't reckon Doc's ever got a bollocking from the players. Because I reckon if you asked Harry and Charlie and you said, who do you not want to kick into you? They'd probably say Sam Ducky. And my next question would be, have you told him? And they'd be like, nah. He's like, we like Sam though. And I'm like, well, not fucking bollock him. Tell him.
How about, Gavin, you've given me 2 ideas. Number 1, banner night one time, have the writing, lower the eyes. but then you only see it pre-game. The other idea was, can someone make like a sign that goes from the start of one bay to the end that literally just says "lower your eyes"? That's what that I wouldn't mind seeing that one time.
Yeah, well, it was funny because that passage of play I told you about, if you go back and watch it, Chera does that kick. I mean, Doc does the kick, TDK loses his mind, right? When it happens the second time, no one says anything to Chera. Do you know what I mean? Like, you saw Camporelli, but the Camporellis are brilliant at doing this. They're serial mourners. They turn me on. But none of the senior forwards went up to Chera and goes, Chera, you taking piss? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, poor bloke's 50 meters of space, mate. Like, kick to him. And that concerns me because you should, that maybe he didn't know. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he didn't know. But that's a practice game. That's where you learn, innit? Like, next time I run in, just look left for 5 seconds. But you can see it's instinct, innit? Kick the ball long. I actually reckon that's in their head. Kick the ball long. You remember Tovi Trevella's goal as well?
Yes.
You watch that goal when he takes the 2 bounces. His eyes are busy. He's like, is there a better option? And then you can see his eyes light up when no one's coming to close his rundown. And as he's getting closer, you can see the cogs turning. I'm going to have a go at this. I'm going to have a crack. And then you see Jack Steele do that, like the hand motion, as if to say, go for your life, bro. Go for your life. And then he bombs one in 65. Everyone's ruffling his cute little hair. I'm like, does that ever happen at Carlton?
Yeah, no.
Sign me. I am more than happy to play 40 minutes of football, tell them what they're doing wrong. Did you know what I mean? I can do that for free.
Let me tell you, it is an art that I've tried to master. It's sometimes I read things in the chat when a really serious point's being made, and I'm like, I can't laugh right now. But yeah, I'm glad you picked up on it. Okay. Wow. I think that's us, mate. It's nearly 8:30, an hour and a half. I feel like there's still so much to talk about, but we will spread it out over the week. Actually, one more thing. Who do you want to see play more minutes this week? I want to see Kempy and Elijah.
Yeah, them two. I'd like to see a bit of sauce as well. Bit of sausage. Like
Kemp and Elijah
just
and Walsh.
a quarter.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a bit of Harry O'Farrell as well, because I hear he was by a country mile the best on ground in the VFL. So I would like to see, when we put everyone shelved at 3/4 time, I'd like to see just 5 minutes of that guy. Billy Wilson, great call as well, James.
Actually,
because I don't think the Ollie Hollands halfback worked. Like, what's his problem?
Just going back to Kemp for a minute. So they, I think it was Tim Clark, maybe, they said they wanted to get a full game into him in the VFL. Now I'm thinking about it. Why couldn't you just get a full game into him in the AFL?
That makes sense, doesn't it?
And you didn't play Williams after halftime, and that was probably planned. So why didn't Kemp play in the ones? And why are you saying we wanted to give him a full game in the twos? Is it because the twos didn't have enough forwards?
Well, it's something fascinating. Like, to me, I think all of them should get minutes. A lot of them players doubled up and played VFL. So I think all the players who are senior listed, who are borderline 22, which Kemp would be, I would have, like, if you got Hudson O'Keefe there and Harry Lemmy, for fuck's sake, like, Harry Lemmy looked like he was auditioning for a boy band out there, not playing football. You can't tell me Kemp wouldn't have been better having 15 minutes in the fourth. Because Harry Lemmy, let's be honest, Voss has said it. He's nowhere near it. He put Young full forward in a game we needed to win. Like, so what were we learning by Harry Lemmy just run around, drop marks? That should have been Kemp saying, sometimes in game, we might not have Harry and Charlie. So you need to take these marks and play full forward. Have 15 minutes against them and then manage minutes VFL. I agree with you, Terry. It makes no sense. But then the club know there's these rumours about Elijah. Right? So you name him, then he plays 2 minutes, and no one addresses it. Like, they know the rumours are there. I know for a fact, hand on heart, the Carlton Football Club are aware of the rumours going around about Elijah Hollins. So you name him, don't play him until the end. Don't address it, don't mention him. What's going on? You kill the rumour, don't you? He's either done something wrong or he hasn't. But
Yeah.
makes no sense. Kemp, he needs a full game. Wouldn't it be better for him to learn with his mates who he's going to be supposedly playing with?
He needs to learn how to play with Harry Mackay.
Yeah,
in the same forward line. He's the third string.
Do you know what I mean? Like, halfback, I don't think Ollie's it. But wouldn't it be more smarter to give Billy 5-10 minutes just so we could have maybe a look at him? Like, you heard Ross, the boss, at the end of it. Toby's not in my senior selection plans until probably about the bye, but we figured he needed a bit of time out there to enjoy himself. That makes sense. He got to play with the seniors, feel like a proper player, got to enjoy himself a bit. That's what you kind of do in it. But fuck knows, man. I've been trying to work out what Carlton Football Club do for 6 years with you, mate. We're season 8. Like, do you know what I mean? I still haven't worked it out.
Wow, yeah, this is the 8th season of coverage. Man, I promise you, when this all started, I'm like, yeah, by 2022, like, the flag will be here, sail off into the sunset, have 4 or 5 years of, because it was the 5-year plan, 4 or 5 years of the story. And now whatever.
You know what? Jordan makes a great point as well, and this is back to Terry's point. I'd like to see these young kids, because Matt Carroll, right? That was the best practice game ever because his application was abhorrent. His ball use was abhorrent. The positives, though, were he intercepts incredibly. His second efforts were fantastic. He showed me what I'd expect from a young player. He was trying so hard, and the efficiency issue we can fix because that's why he's going to play VFL. That's why he's on a rookie deal. But what was a real excitement for me was his natural skills are really tasty. He understands the game. He reads it. So why couldn't we have seen Billy Wilson for 10 minutes? Yes, I know his ball use might have been iffy, but at least give him the option. It's weird. Like, to me, I think sometimes we just do stupid things and then we expect spectacular.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. I'm glad that we've done this. I'm glad that we're back asking questions about things that we probably will never get the answers to ever, but that's okay. So it's good to be back. Few items. If you are a member of Blue Abroad, your key rings are on the way. They've arrived and they've got your number on the back. If you have changed your address, you need to tell me now because it'll be very difficult and it'll just be a little bit more time added if your keyring goes to an address that you don't live at anymore. So this is your reminder. Please let me know if you have changed address from the time that you signed up to be a member. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to post all of your keyrings and hopefully they'll be with you before round 1. Secondly,
he's wearing white chinos.
There's the first giveaway. The 1998 All-Australian warm-up winter jacket worn by Mr. Steve Silvani. If you're a member, you are automatically in the draw. We're going to draw this on the Blue Abroad show Monday leading up to round 1. So you've got a few weeks. If you'd like to sign up to become a member, link is in the live chat. So that's your first prize. And I think I've just accidentally revealed the prize for when we play the Eagles. That is a signed Chris Judd Brownlow medalist poster. So that when we play the Eagles, that's the giveaway prize there. Surprise, surprise. Also, the Jumper Punch preseason launch event. Check out you can go really to their YouTube. You can go to their Instagram. You can go anywhere. You've seen the flyers. If you want to go to a preseason function, it's called This is Carlton. The Almost Blues brothers will be there. Bucky will be there. The Prendercast will be there. So make sure you go if you're interested in go and get some tickets. Pommy, what's happening on Pommy and Oz this week?
I put a schedule up and I just abide by the schedule. I don't know, but I can tell you, I'll ad lib it. Collingwood Richmond watch along, 5 things to watch. We're doing that. We're doing the Collingwood game. We're also doing our game. There'll be a review of that, a review of all the games. Right now, though, if you haven't watched it, watch Paper Talk. Paper Talk is the most effort I put in because we actually write that very satire-y. I sit down here with a pen and paper and I write jokes. They're all structured jokes now. So a lot of effort goes into that. It's my favourite show, I'll be totally honest, that I've ever done because that is just pure pom. So 10 minutes of your time, I take you through the 5 funniest stories or things that make me laugh and I take the piss.
This is the one, Callahan's $17 million rejection, Brownlow drama, and TV blackouts?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
And I'd be amiss. Tell you what, if you all want to do it, I'll give it to you as well, chat. We've got Mrs. Pom. Mrs. Pom is running this comp. Total free to enter. First prize is $200. Second prize is $100, and the third prize is $50. So thank Mrs. P from that. She is officially sponsoring that. So yeah, you're free to enter it. The rules are you've got to be subscribed to Pom and Oz, but that's it. All you've got to do is you've just got to enter your tips. And top 3, Mrs. P is not getting her hair and nails done 1 month, so you all get paid. Nice of her.
I like it. What's that on AFL tipping, right?
ESP, I think it's run by ESPN, but it's footytips.com.au. So, yeah. And you'll feature on the Sunday show. We have the Sunday show where we just have a football kickback. We just chat rubbish about the week, but we'll take the piss and cheer people on. We're going to go through whose results were hilariously bad. And so you'll feature on that if you do well or do bad. You'll get me bullying you. Does Mrs. Pom know she sponsored it? It was her idea, actually. It wasn't mine. I don't give away money for free. She's the nice one.
Yeah. Jordan, footy abroad? Don't know. Do you want it? Do you want it back? Let us know. Let me know. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind talking about things other than Carlton. I think the other thing that's changing or getting a bit of a revamp is Reflections. It's not going to be called Reflections anymore. It's going to change. But I have to decide with Ari. So anyway.
I like Footy Abroad. It was a good show.
It was good. It was good to not talk about Carlton, to be honest.
I like being treated like Liam McMahon and like should be on the permanent list, but just can't get a gig.
That's it. We're going to change it. All right. Footy Abroad's back. Done. Oh, and Net Cracking is back as well. Guys, thanks for being here.
And going 40 minutes over schedule because of me. We're back, baby!
Have a good night, everyone. Go Blues.